It is 9 o'clock. We're going to go ahead and get started. So, where's my intro? There it is. All right. Welcome to the 10th episode of the Revolutionary Code, where we bring you the truth about how governmental politics actually works in every facet of human existence and how that affects our people, Black people here in America. I am your host, Brother Tamani Mwandani, out of Houston, Texas, by way of South Carolina. I am the direct revolutionary product of one Cardinal and Bayou Chewy of the Shrines of the Black Madonna, and the indirect revolutionary product of one Albert B. Clegg, African name Jeramogi Abebe Ajiman, the father of liberation theology and the founder of the Shrines of the Black Madonna. I am also the founder of the Black Gold Nation Movement. My co-host, the National Director of Political Strategy and Implementation for the Black Gold Nation Movement, and the chairman of LACE, Liberation Advocates for Community Empowerment, the intellectual gangster and corporate grassroots revolutionary from Shreveport, Louisiana, AKA The Boot, Brother Craig B. Lee. How you doing, brother?
I am doing absolutely great. Just getting back in from Dallas, Texas. So I want to say greetings to everybody out there, and hopefully they had an awesome day.
Excellent. Okay, if you are joining us via Zoom and you have a question when we get to the question portion, and you want to be on camera or you don't mind being on camera, make sure your phone is turned sideways, or you can always post your question in the chat and I will simply read it and we'll go from there. Always, please keep your phones muted. Background noise can be very difficult to hear over and speak over. And before we get started this evening, let me give you a little bit of information about the Black Gold Nation Movement. Our ultimate goal is to put our people in the position by which we can own and or control the environment. Because whenever we allow other people to control our space, whenever we allow other people to control any aspect of how we live within that space, be it the political system that people control, the agricultural system, economic system, educational system, when we allow other people to control our stuff, where we live, we always end up on the bottom. So since we don't want to always be on the bottom, we want to flip that, whereby we are on the top and we can control what's happening in our space. So our ultimate goal is to put our people in a position by which we can own and or control the environment and better dictate and determine what happens to the black mind, body, spirit, and psyche. So we are not here to just inform or educate you. We want to inform, educate, motivate, mobilize, organize, and build. Every single thing we do is about getting our people on board, getting you on board to be a part of an effort to build a nation within this nation for our people, period. Tonight's show title is The Philosophy, System, and Game of Capitalistic White Supremacy and Racism, how it keeps us distracted, confused, docile, and enslaved, so we won't implement the only exit strategy available to us. So before we get started tonight, I want to send hearts and prayers out to the family of Breonna Taylor. The verdict was not what most of us thought it should have been, and I can only imagine what they are feeling and or going through. So we want to send love, light, positive prayer, energy to the Breonna Taylor family. Okay, so with that, again, tonight's title, The Philosophy, System, and Game of Capitalistic White Supremacy and Racism, how it keeps us distracted, confused, docile, and enslaved, so we won't implement the only exit strategy that we have. Okay, Brother Craig, last week we didn't give the overview, so I'm gonna ask you to give it again this week. What exactly is the philosophy, system, and game of capitalistic white supremacy and racism?
Well, the philosophy is the component that helps to elevate, preserve, promote the three philosophies that push white supremacy. And like I told you before, you're dealing with the divine right of kings, which basically is saying that the white leadership is not subject to any earthly oversight. Only God can judge them, and they are God. You know, so that's one facet of their philosophy. And then manifest destiny aspect, meaning that they have been ordained by God to control everything on earth, and now that goes into space. So they're trying to control that frontier as well. And then that ties into the ultimate goal, which is to brand everything based on their overall perspective of how they see it through their lens, hence the concept of white supremacy. So that's the philosophy part. Then that ties into the structural dynamic, the infrastructure aspect, which creates the system. And this goes into every single facet of your life, from your home to your church, to your school, to your local government, state government, national, so-called federal government, every facet, your car, your insurance policy, whether it be health insurance, life insurance, everything is regulated by the system. And within the system, there is a game that is played, and you have to figure out how to navigate the game inside of the system that promotes the perpetuation of white folks being on the top. So all of these things are happening simultaneously. They're not, happening one thing at, a time. They're all happening together. So that is why we say the philosophy, system, and game of capitalistic white supremacy, and then understanding that capitalism in and of itself is there an economic, political, and socioeconomic system whereby it creates, maintains, and expands a permanent underclass. And therefore, in order to break free of being an underclass, you have to learn the philosophy, the system, and the game in order to navigate.
Excellent, excellent. My second question was to give an overview of the Manifest Destiny and Divine Rights of Kings. So I'm glad you already gave that. So the perfect segue. Divine Rights of Kings has been expanded per last week's episode to not just being one king or one ruling entity, but a mafia, as you said, a group. Correct? Is that right so far? Okay, cool. All right. So before I go any further, I want to state how mafia is defined. An organized international body of criminals operating originally in Sicily and now especially in Italy and in the United States, around the world, and having a complex and ruthless behavioral code. That's the first one. Second one, an organized group using extortion and other criminal methods.
Yes.
And the third one is a closed group of people in a particular field having a controlling influence.
Yes.
Would you agree with all three of those definitions?
All three of those apply to the United States. And the other component I would add into it, they do all of those three things while simultaneously creating the illusion that they are nice and friendly and they're about democracy and all of that. As a matter of fact, today on Facebook, while I was in Dallas, I saw a comment about the United States and violence. Oh yeah, it was the quote by Biden. Biden, his wordplay yesterday dealing with the Breonna Taylor result from the grand jury was to talk about the need for nonviolence.
Mm-hmm.
And it was very interesting. He said, violence is never the answer. Violence is never the answer. So I made a comment to say, if violence is never the answer, why in the hell does the United States start all the wars?
That's right.
You know, and so this is very clever how the United States operates, because they operate as everything that you just said, but they give you the angelic persona of being this nice entity, while stabbing you in the back, stabbing you in the throat, stabbing you in your ear. I mean, they're gangster with it. I mean, so yeah, all of those things that you said are right on point.
Excellent. So why is it significant that we, melanated Black people, know that the philosophy of those in power include them believing that they are God, believing that they believe they don't have to answer to no man, and that they operate as a mafia? Why do we need to know that? Why is that significant that we know that?
Well, the first thing is it will help get us out of our mindset of being very idealistic and naive in discussing issues. It'll get us out of the mindset of discussing things as to how we desire to see them, how we fantasize about them, and see them for what they really are. And it's the perspective of going from fiction into nonfiction, going from fairy tale into reality. If you can't transition out of fictionalism and get into realism, and get out of idealism and get into realism, and get out of non-truth and start to deal with truth, there's no way that you would ever be able to be successful in dealing with these white folks. Because when you heard Malcolm X once say that by any means necessary, these white folks really operate within the realm of by any means necessary. I mean, that's how they roll. Whether it be through the drug game, the pimp game, the religious game, the prostitution game, whatever they have to do to gain leverage on their oppressed victim, that's what they'll do. So you gotta be able to first understand you're in a game, you're in a system, and you're not gonna hope and pray this out of them. This is how they are built and designed. And so that is why it's necessary, because if you do not do that, you will always be a helpless victim, believing that, as Martin Luther King believed, that he could reach the consciousness of white folks.
That's right.
It just ain't gonna never happen.
So brother, is it safe to assume, safe to say that our brothers and sisters who believe that they can get away from white people via some certain status, some paperwork authority given by a global governing body, they believe that's possible because they don't fully understand that those in power believe that they are ordained by God and they will operate as a mafia to ensure that they will. So they don't fully understand what they're up against.
Exactly. And the sad part about that, Brother Tamani, is you have history to reflect from.
It's a hell of a guy.
Yeah. I mean, all you got to do is go look at Haiti. I mean, you know, Haiti believed under Toussaint Louverture and all of our great African descendant freedom fighters in Haiti when they tricked the French and the Spanish and won what they thought was the war, but they won the battle. They won the ground game.
That's right.
And so when you say, well, Craig, how do you know that the United States is a mafia? All you got to do is study history. France, Spain lose the ground game, and what do? They go back and connect with their naval authority, and now within the naval authority, they come and now defeat Haiti, and now force Haiti to pay them reparations, and then they isolate them for all of these centuries later, and now at the end of the day, Haiti is still in an oppressed state.
Yeah, paying reparations to them.
Exactly. They were a sovereign. I mean, they won.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, they took up arms. They did all of the stuff that these Negroes talk about. They won. And what did they win? They won more slavery.
Yep.
Just a different form of it. So no, there is no document that you're going to pay Brother Polite for, or some other group, the Moorish Science Temple. There is no document that you're going to submit to some world court. Malcolm just didn't understand the complexity of the governmental political structure of the United States and how this stuff actually works. And so we have to be about the business of dealing with reality and not fantasy. Then you can begin to actually put together legitimate, comprehensive, holistic plans to be able to make some things actually happen.
And the I don't want to be disrespectful, but it's just interesting that they believe that a court funded by the United States is going to give you some freedom papers.
Exactly.
And you think they're going to issue those papers and respect the papers when they have no history whatsoever of respecting anybody's freedom papers. It's not what they do.
So think about what we're saying. The people who propagate this foolishness believe that there is a legal document. A legal document. Okay, so what court initially hears your case? Well, it's the court of the United States. So show me where legally they abide by basically anything that they say. So now the Negro says, well, see, Craig, the reason that you all are being oppressed is because you keep using the term black. I mean, these people really believe this. And so I've never heard of a police officer asking,
That's right.
Are you black, or are you a Moor, or are you Hebrew Israelite?
That's
before
right.
they bust a cat. I've never heard that. Okay.
Yeah.
But they really fantasize about this because they really believe that the reason that we're not free is because there's been some legal argument that we just have not made.
Right.
And from that overall standpoint, we're going to debate this in their court.
Right.
In their court now.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they're going to then yield us money and land. And then, you know, if that doesn't work, we then are going to take this to the international court. So, you know, to hell with what Muammar Gaddafi dealt with in Libya, the fact that he had a sovereign nation.
That's right.
That still came and killed his ass.
Right.
You know, to hell with Saddam Hussein. You know, we're not going to even look at any of this.
Right.
We're going to make our legal argument because we're in bondage, because we keep on saying that we're black.
You know, that's kind of like, you know, when your kids are little and they get mad at one parent, so they go tell the other parent. They express. And they're plutocrats are in cahoots. Okay. All right. So to the next question. So the purpose of this expanded idea to go from a monarchy, one king, to a plutocracy, many kings, who rule over oligarchs, who rule over the aristocracy. The idea is to have a tiered structure of control, correct?
Exactly.
All right. So can you clarify each one of these and provide a little more insight and maybe an example of one: monarchy, plutocracy, or plutocrat, oligarchy or oligarchs, aristocracy, or aristocrats?
So a monarchy would be what used to exist in Africa with, let's say, Shaka Zulu. And so you have a king and he controls everything,
Right.
you know, or a queen, and she calls the shots. However, that's one person that's running the actual show. When Europe and the United States started putting this masterful game plan together, they said, well, wait a minute. It's several families that we need to have running the show. And what we want to do is be kings. We want to be kings. Hence, like the television show Game of Thrones. We want to do everything that we were doing as a monarchy, but we want to control everything in the world.
Right.
So, which is all about territory, right? So now we're going to put this clique together, and the super clique, we're going to call them plutocrats. So this is like a group of kings coming together or queens coming together to form their coalition. So that's what we exist under right now. So we have multiple kings calling the show. Underneath that, the oligarchs are the next level, and these are wealthy people as well, but they don't have the family infrastructure to actually be a part of the plutocracy shot caller, because it's not just a money thing, it's a legacy thing. Yep. It's a genealogy thing that now plays within this overall dynamic. And then the aristocrats are just the people who manage. So when we talk about architects and engineers, the architects and the engineers of the philosophy, system, and game of capitalistic white supremacy racism, those are the plutocrats. The monarch, like, even if you look at Queen Elizabeth right now in Europe, right? The premise is they're still operating under monarchy, but they really aren't. They have a parliament, you know what I'm saying? Yep. They actually have a plutocracy, but they still sell the illusion of the monarchy, which they do have standing, but they're not running the full show. But they do have major leverage in England. And they're still in Saudi Arabia and other places where you do have monarchs that actually exist, king of this particular land, whoop, whoop. But for the entire world, in terms of controlling that piece, now what happens is the United States, they have a G8 game, and now everybody controls a particular territory within that overall dynamic. And so that's how this works. And the aristocracy, these are the managers within the overall deal. And I will say this, Brother Tamani, you have a macro plutocracy, oligarchy, and aristocracy structure. But then what the plutocracy does in the macro plutocracy, they create micro plutocrats who are not really plutocrats, but they create micro plutocrats, oligarchs, and aristocracy in each ethnic group. Okay.
Okay.
And that's where you'll find your Oprah Winfrey, your Robert Johnson, the people who they allow.
So they are
to,
pseudo.
Exactly. They are the pseudo entities. And so you need to have that component because you got to give people the illusion
Yep.
of the so-called American dream, and you can navigate. But this is a team game.
Yep.
And they understand that, but they sell everybody on individualism so that everybody just focuses on I, my, me versus us, I, we. And the only way that you're going to win as a group is to play it as an actual organization.
The only way you're going to win is to be a part of a group that plays as a group. No doubt.
Yeah,
okay, so
less than that, you're going to have to lie and manipulate and deceive your own people in order to, which is what the Attorney General from Kentucky.
We're gonna get to it. Yeah, we're gonna get to it. We're gonna get to it. Okay, so this is the tiered structure of the white supremacist system, which is predicated on the belief that they have been ordained by God. They believe that they are God.
And God is them.
And God is them to rule over the entire planet, but by any means necessary. and they do this because of power, which they understand is political. So everything is about politics.
Everything.
Great. Okay. Cool. All right. So again, tonight we want to talk about the philosophy, system, and game of capitalistic white supremacy and racism, how it keeps us distracted, confused, docile, and enslaved. So we won't implement the only exit strategy we have. Okay, so let's get to the distractions, the game, the distractions, and the confusion that they do on purpose per the game. They believe that they are God. They've been ordained to rule over the planet, and they're going to do that by any means necessary. That's what they believe as relates to God. We don't believe that when it comes to God. We believe something completely different.
Exactly.
So that means that religiosity is a distraction.
Exactly.
And a source of confusion. Can you give us maybe an example of how religiosity is a distraction, keeps us confused, keeps us physically docile and mentally enslaved?
So in religiosity, there is philosophy that is branded as being theology. So within the wordplay of any scripture, especially in Christian scripture, you will find various aspects of individuals, not wanting to or being told to not stand up and fight. Scripture that is referencing obeying your master. Scripture is saying it's better to endure oppression on earth, and you will be better in the by and by. That type of rhetoric is what now has been taught to our people. And although in the same scripture, in the same Bible, you can also find liberation talk,
That's
right?
Yeah,
so
no doubt.
It's about who is teaching you and how they've been taught their particular concepts of the scripture. Because the entire book can be used as a tool to liberate or to continuously enslave.
Yep.
But it's all about how you're actually taught. But we know that the majority of our people are taught to endure long-suffering, pain, obey your master, that type of individual. Where you guys were at, like the Shrine of Black Madonna, where you have Dr. Cleage and Reverend Cone talking about Black liberation theology.
Yep.
That's a whole nother philosophy inside of the same book.
Yep.
Okay, but the problem is whose philosophy is going to win out.
Right.
So Black liberation theology was a relatively new concept that was being taught in a Christian construct that was already indoctrinating our people to not want to fight.
Mm-hmm.
And then when Martin Luther King came about within the same book, Martin taught people basically to get killed, allow yourself to get beat, killed, and stabbed, because now when white people see how they're doing us, they're going to be so shocked and horrified.
Right.
They're going to stop, and then they're going to sit down at the table with us, and they're going to cut up the pie. That he was going to war by offering us up as sacrificial lamb. And that is just totally incorrect. So through religion, your church choirs, all of these things that happen within the religious construct, it consumes your life. And now you get caught up with quantitative time being invested in things that can never free you, and never liberate you, and never empower you. So you basically just come to the point of believing that the entity that's going to save you is not yourself, but Yeshua, Jesus, or some other entity that's been created in that religious construct.
Not only is it never going to free you, but it's never going to have you thinking about freedom.
True.
Your complete focus is on an existence in another world.
True.
And if that is not a testament to our psychosis, our confusion, and our state of mind, but I don't know what is. So that is a perfect example of how religiosity keeps us distracted, confused, and enslaved.
Oh yeah. And the interesting thing about that, Brother Tumani, is you're gonna be broke on earth and in poverty on earth and oppressed on earth. But now, because you paid tithe and you had faith in you were a believer, now you're going to have Gold Street,
right,
milk and honey. You're going to have Mercedes-Benz. You're going to have mansions. I mean, they really believe this.
Oh, sure.
Thing.
Oh, yeah. It's
They at church at the funeral. And I have to accept all of this when I go to all these funerals, and I have to accept being disrespected because they believe it.
Yeah, to their core. To their core.
And it don't even matter what anybody else's belief. They're going to propagate this at a funeral, at whatever. And you take it or leave it, Negro.
Right. Okay. All right. Two more examples of distractions and confusion. The education system. Can you tell us how that is a distraction and a source of confusion, and how it contributes to our mental enslavement?
So, what people believe to be education is not education.
Okay.
It's training. And it is training to fulfill various pawn roles, pawn meaning pawn on a chessboard in this system. And so, as you're talking about the distraction, I forgot to mention, all of these things are categorized underneath the main heading distraction is called entertainment.
Yep.
And so people would say, oh, well, Craig, entertainment is television. No, entertainment is not only television, movies, sports. Every facet of our existence, including the one that you had just mentioned, and the second one, education, it all falls under entertainment. So you have religious entertainment, education entertainment, sports entertainment, television entertainment. All of these are categories. So as it relates to the education entertainment arena, it's all a pseudo concept, because the game is not to teach you how to think. but to teach you how to function as a pawn in the overall game. And this indoctrination starts in the home. These are the first people to teach you, your parents. Then it goes to the religious institution, and then it is reinforced tremendously by the school system that you go to. And within that school system, they distract your mind away from teaching you things as to how the game of capitalism operates.
Mm-hmm.
Like you never learn about real estate when you're in elementary, junior high, high school.
Right.
You never learn about how finance works.
That's right.
You know, these basic things.
Yeah.
That really gets down to it. So you never learn how any of this works, and now you start to learn Latin, Greek, things that don't even come up.
Right.
But that's a distraction.
Sure.
Right? So within that becomes entertainment, because even within you learning about Aristotle, Plato, Socrates, right? This is a lie. But they create the textbooks as to what you're going to the curriculum that you're going to actually focus on. And within that overall dynamic, you now get caught up in the various subjects, and you go from secondary education to the illusion of higher ed. And unfortunately, when you get to higher ed, most of the curriculums that you will see in most colleges are not getting at the core things that would make you think. So therefore, you never get educated, because Dr. Carter G. Woodson said that education is not the mere imparting of information, but it is the combination of being able to expose a student to information and to get him to or her to learn how to think and problem solve.
Yeah.
So problem solving is not something that goes on, and that's when you would be educated.
Yeah, if you're not able to critically think and apply what you're being given and what you're being taught, then you're just being trained to be a drone. And it's obvious if you look at how the propaganda starts at a very early age with what kids see on television, with the whole elevation of things that are white, things that are Greek, things that are Roman. I mean, everything, it's out there. And then it goes from there. And I am so looking forward to the day, although I don't think it'll ever happen, that our Divine Nine organizations, our Greek fraternities and sororities, will throw that off and maybe pick up some African symbols.
Brother, that would be
great.
That would be the most revolutionary. If that were to ever happen, then white folks would really be in trouble. Just that alone.
Just that alone. Hell, just one of them.
Brother, that would be profound.
Indeed. Okay, so the last example is the political system. So give us a quick example as which controls the security of the policing system. How does the political system, how is it a distraction and or a source of confusion, and how does it keep us mentally docile and physically enslaved?
The governmental politics system is the most complex of all of the distractions.
Yep.
Because they get you focused on the apex of the game, the federal level.
Right.
And people really believe that, like, the president controls everything. So they really believe, man, we get the right person in the president, everything changes for us. Right?
It's all going to trickle down.
Yeah, it's going to trickle down, And so that's where all of the focus is at, but it's never on the local dynamic. So, and even if you get down to the local level, and now you focus on, so what are they going to then focus on? They'll focus on the mayor, but they're not going to focus on the city council, the parish commission, the county commission, the school board,
right,
the clerk of court, all of these other little facets, because all of these things have systems, little micro systems within the macro system. And so So they get you to focus on the lead position, and you buy into it. So at the local level, you'll buy into focusing on the mayor. At the middle level, you'll focus on the governor. Mm-hmm. And at the high level, you focus on the president. Right. And you don't know anything else about anything else. So they get you into seeing how the president's dog's name, what the president's wife is wearing, what the children are wearing. See, so now we're dealing with entertainment. Yeah. So now guess what? Man, that's like my family member.
Right. I can relate.
I can relate to that.
Identity politics.
Identity politics that's coming. Personality politics, identity politics. So now you focus on those things and you never focus on the policies and how policies are actually created.
Those things that affect your day-to-day life.
Every day.
All right. Okay. If you missed the introduction to the show, you are listening to the Revolutionary Code, where we bring the truth about how governmental politics actually works in every facet of human existence and how that affects our people, Black people here in America. Tonight's show is our 10th episode and is titled "The Philosophy, System, and Game of Capitalistic White Supremacy and Racism: How It Keeps Us Distracted, Confused, Docile, and Enslaved, so we won't implement the only exit strategy available to us." My name is Tamani Mwandani. I'm the founder of the Black Gold Nation Movement, and my co-host is Brother Craig B. Lee, the National Director of the Black Gold Nation's Political Strategy and Implementation Department. Okay, Brother Craig, the political system, since this show is about how politics actually works and how it affects us, we want to get into the whole Breonna Taylor situation. Of course, our people don't fully understand politics. We're not involved in politics, which is why we keep losing, because we're not even, we're born into a war that we didn't start, and we keep losing because we're not even on the battlefield. So you sent me an article today, brother, about Daniel Cameron, the Attorney General of Kentucky, who prosecuted the case. A lot of information in that article. So before we get into some of them details, where does Mr. Cameron fall? Which of the 6 factions of African descent is this melanated person?
He's a pseudo bourgeoisie.
And what does that mean, pseudo bourgeoisie?
So he desires to be a shot caller within the realm of leadership, and he can't get in. He couldn't get in through the Democratic portal. So he went and offered himself up to the Republican Party. Now, his mother was a professor at a community college, right, and his dad owned, I think, a coffee shop.
Coffee shop, right.
Something like that. So he comes from a perceived middle class environment, but his people were not within the dynamic of shot calling. So he wasn't born into a legacy family. Mm-hmm. So that automatically took him out of the bourgeoisie level. So now when he gets to college, he now has dreams and aspirations of being there and now being in politics. And so he cut deals and made things happen with white folks. So now within that realm, he takes on the pseudo bourgeoisie Negro category. And that's pretty much where he's at. Because again, bourgeoisie Negroes, those particular individuals, some of them, most of them, have some degree of pride. And so they're gonna marry, at least create the illusion that they're marrying, their own ethnic group, but their mindset is, white. So they try to create at least the exoteric image that they are just like you and I.
Right.
But when you're a pseudo bourgeoisie Negro and you now step up and you go marry, whether it be white male, white female, you're already letting it be known. I'm not concerned about the reality of growth.
I'm not about that life. Okay, so okay, so in your opinion, which of the following are most significant as it relates to Mr. Cameron? Which of the following from that article? He's a protege of Mitch McConnell, the Republican senator of Kentucky. He has pledged allegiance to the Republican Party. He's pledged allegiance to the Fraternal Order of Police. He has sought to strike down all pandemic-related restrictions on businesses and churches in Kentucky. His endorsement of President Trump, or neither of those, because there's something else more significant that we need to know. Which one of those are more significant, or is it something completely different?
All of it is significant. Because, and I say that in all honesty because all of that connects the dots.
Okay.
So you can see the puzzle. So all of it is, but if I were forced to select one, it would be his connection to Mitch McConnell.
Exactly. Why?
Because Mitch McConnell is the most powerful Republican politician in the country. And now you get an opportunity to see how that translates into opportunities for a person who is melanated, not black, who is melanated, not black, who is melanated, not black,
right?
How those opportunities can exist if you're willing to dance to their tune. And so Mitch McConnell has helped to make all of this happen.
If you are confused on what we're talking about when I mentioned the 6 factions of African descent, please go to blackgoldmedia.net and watch the first and second episode. If you are confused on what Brother Craig means when he keeps saying melanated and black, please see episode 2 and 3 of the Revolutionary Code that's on our digital media network, blackgoldmedia.net. Okay, brother.
Now do you see why?
Oh, yeah.
After 30 plus years, I had to create those factions.
Yep.
So we can really understand people like this individual.
Yeah.
Who most people will say he's black, but he's not.
And it's very important that we do that because we make the mistake of assuming that just because a person is melanated, that they are an ally. Like we're doing these SWAT. We're doing these. We're doing who's not muted. Somebody's not muted. We're doing these SWAT. That was Tara. Okay. We're doing these SWOT analyses for the different cities around the country where our people live, and it's funny how black people will state that politics is a strength because the politician is black.
Tara, turn your phone.
Well,
Tara, turn your phone off.
I got it.
Okay.
She got it. Well, she keep okay. So we confuse melanation with ally. And we think that just because a person has melanin like we do, that they are our ally, and of course they are not.
True.
Okay, so is it safe to assume or safe to say that those who run the system probably have more than one Daniel Cameron that they are grooming and preparing?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, absolutely. And let me be the first to say that you heard it from me. I'm about to shock the world. They are preparing Daniel Cameron to run for president in 4 years against who? The other pseudo bourgeoisie Negro.
Kamala Harris.
Who?
Kamala Harris.
Both of them have white spouses. Both of them have been what? Attorney generals. Y'all got to see the game.
Which creates for us,
them are committed to the order of their political party.
Which is a lose-lose for us because they're both the same.
Exactly. Exactly.
It's two sides of the same coin.
Exactly.
Okay. So as it relates to Daniel Cameron's political leanings, his belief system, his philosophy. What should we, melanated Black people, what should we take away from his ruling on the Breonna Taylor case? What does it mean because that he ruled the way that he did?
Negroes and Black people had better realize how serious governmental policy is. They better realize how serious wordplay is. Because when he came up with that wanton endangerment, brother, that's clever, man. I mean, to give you the illusion that he is charging, prosecuting, and now he can now say, well, it wasn't me, it was the grand jury.
Right.
I mean, that's very clever. But now when we get into the nuts and bolts, Brother Tamani, of this, follow me now. The prosecutor for the county that Louisville sits in, he recused himself.
Right. He sure did. Conflict of interest.
But we don't know what the conflict of interest is.
Sure.
So now, the former Attorney General of the state of Kentucky is what political party?
Democrat, wasn't he?
Democrat.
Yeah.
So he becomes governor. So who does he roll with to becoming Attorney General, although he wasn't qualified to be Attorney General? Daniel Cameron.
Okay.
But Daniel Cameron is a Republican. So why would a Democrat roll with a Republican in a seat that he was in that Democrats control for the past 70 years? So now that he now becomes governor, Bashir becomes governor, what does he need most important for the state of Kentucky? Federal aid.
Right.
Who's the number one shot caller for the Republican Party in the United States? Mitch McConnell. Who's the sidekick for Mitch McConnell? Daniel Cameron.
That's right.
Who married Mitch McConnell's relative? Daniel Cameron.
Right.
So now we're going to put him to the test. Did you see within the article what the leader for the Fraternal Order of Police said?
He's our guy? We can count on him or something like that.
We count on his ass in the long term. We can count on him. So now they put him to the test right out the gate.
And he passed.
And he passed it.
And he passed with flying colors. So I'm sorry.
People don't understand the technicalities of the game and get out of their irrational emotionalism and start to learn how to think, start to learn how to critically think so that they can then not only understand, but they can overstand so they can connect the goddamn dots, because this is played out right in your damn face.
This next question was not a part of my list, so I need you to be brief with it, because I got 2 more questions to answer. We only got 6 minutes left. As you're talking about the connectivity between Daniel Cameron, the Republican Party, Mitch McConnell, the Democrat, blah, 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 it seems like we need to have a very serious due diligence department that will be like a crime board, all of these lines connecting all these dots, because all these people are interwoven with one another. How do you, Craig Lee, how do you assess a politician's worth per, if they want to get your support? How do you do that quickly?
The WH formula. Who, what, when, where, why.
Gotcha.
Who, what, when, where, why, now. And we understand that the best indication for future performance is what?
Past events, past results?
Past performance.
Past performance.
So the WH formula and your receipt. Always remember what? Resume, references, receipts.
Gotcha. Okay. Cool.
And the declaration form.
Gotcha. Okay. So we talked a few episodes ago about pseudo solutions presented by melanated Negroes, not to be confused with melanated blacks, that are being separated from white people without political power, trying to separate by giving some special status from a governing body, focusing on only one symptom of the overall problem as opposed to all the problems: religiosity and reparations. Those are what we say are pseudo solutions being offered to our people. Does what we've just discussed about Daniel Cameron prove why we don't have time for those kinds of solutions? Because they're because what we're up against is so interwoven, so intricate, so interlaced.
Oh, exactly. Because these people are all, so you can understand the complexities, they're fraternity members, they're sorority sisters, they're Masonic brothers, they're Masonic sisters, they go to college together, they sleep together, they have, I mean, it's all interwoven. And so now you start to see through marriage, you get certain privileges. Just like Clarence Thomas, absolutely, Sister Pabu, the family. And brother, when Brother Tamani had me to watch that, bruh, I mean, I call Brother Tamani and I say, man, the creator has blessed me so well to be able to understand the foundational construct. So yes, everything that you just said, Brother Tamani, we don't have time because there's so many layers to the game and so many micro details to the game. And so when people say, well, Craig, you need to just stroke the people. Don't give them casserole. To hell with that. We ain't got no goddamn time to be giving people granulated sugar. Your ass is going to get this castor oil and you're going to get it straight. God damn it. And if you can't take that castor oil to detox your mind and your body so that you can receive the truth, then this ain't for you. This game ain't for you. I'm just being honest.
Yeah.
It ain't for you.
This game ain't for you, and this organization ain't for you because we're most certainly not pulling any punches and we're not wasting any time. Exactly. Okay, last question. So what should we be focusing on? What is our only exit strategy as to pushing back against this philosophy system and this game? What is our only exit strategy?
Same thing I say every week.
Come on.
You got to mobilize, organize at the local level so you can start to learn how everything is structured in your respective city, in your respective county, parish, and within your state. You then got to link up with the BGN, and you're doing this simultaneously.
Yes, sir.
Link up with the Black Gold Nation so that now you become an intelligence officer for the Black Gold Nation in your respective city, parish, county, and state, so that you know the ins and outs, so that becomes your territory assignment as you now work with this national group that is establishing an infrastructure to help liberate, empower, and advance our people. So getting up off your ass, getting involved, and learning how all of this works. Start going to the city council meetings, start going to the parish county meetings, the school board meetings. If you go to, I don't know if every state has this app, Brother Tamani, but this is a great case analysis. Okay. If they go to our state app, the state of Louisiana has an app, and I'm quite sure probably every state might have this, but it's called Go Government, Go, GEAUX, GoVote.com. GoVote.com, GEAUX vote.com. And if you go there and download that app, although you're not in the state of Louisiana, you can go through and see how that app works and breaking down every facet of the governmental apparatus in the state of Louisiana right in the palm of your hand. And you can now start to learn how all of this stuff actually works.
Yeah, and that's the beauty of it, brother, because it's not like it's hidden. You know, if you want to know, it is right there. And I was telling Brother Lloyd, who is the team lead for Houston, we gonna make some serious waves in Houston because we about to get down into the nitty gritty of it all, and get busy in Houston politics on a level that we black people we've never done before. Okay, so it's 10 o'clock, brother. We, as usual, we do a pretty good job of keeping this thing to 1 hour. Amazingly. Before I give you an opportunity to give you a closing remarks, does anybody have any questions for Brother Craig? Anybody who's joining us via Zoom, any questions for Brother Craig? Any questions going once? Any questions going twice? All right, brother, you did a good job as usual. So you want to give us your closing remarks before we close this thing out this evening?
In light of the Breonna Taylor decision yesterday, I want people. This is a homework assignment that I have for people. Go to YouTube, download Peter Tosh's phenomenal hit classic, Equal Rights. I want you to listen to those lyrics. Download Bob Marley's hit classic, War, so you can listen to those two things. And listen repeatedly. And download Third World's hit classic, You Got the Power. I want you all to, tonight, before you go to bed, listen to those three songs, and then you can expand your listening pleasure to other phenomenal roots reggae classics. We got to start to put ourselves, my cousin asked me this question today, Craig, how do I put my mind in the space to transform as you have? And I said, something as simple as listening to roots reggae. And she listens to reggae music, but she has never listened to these songs. So begin the process of transforming your mind and going into the space. Music therapy is a great way of beginning the process to help you embrace a liberation, a revolutionary mindset. And I leave you with Malcolm's great quote, and I leave you with Martin Luther King's great quote. Malcolm said that education is our passport to the future, for tomorrow belongs to the people who prepare for it today. So you got to become educated in all of these aspects in order to rock and roll. And lastly, Martin Luther King said, the true measure of a man is not where he stands during moments of comfort and convenience, but rather where he stands during times of challenge and controversy. The question that we need to ask our people, where do you stand? Or are you standing? Or are you sitting? But whatever you're doing, if you really want to make something happen and leave a positive legacy for yourself, with your children, with your other relatives, you got to get in this game and start to fight.
Amen and ashe. So I want to thank everybody for being a part of the show tonight. I sincerely appreciate it. Again, Brother Craig, thank you for bringing the knowledge and the wisdom and breaking it down for everybody to better understand everything. If you want to get in touch with me to learn more about the Black Gold Nation, you can email me at theblackgoldnation@gmail.com, theblackgoldnation@gmail.com. Our events website, if you want to know more about the 100 City Virtual Tour, that is blackgold-wakandarising.com. Click on After the Protest. Again, blackgold-wakandarising.com. Click on After the Protest. And if you want to watch the previous 9 episodes of the Revolutionary Code, you can watch them on Black Gold Media at blackgoldmedia.net. Please understand, please remember that we are not here just to inform or educate you. We want to inform, educate, motivate, mobilize, organize, and build. Everything we say and everything we do is by getting you on board to help us build a nation within this nation, because no one is going to do it for us. What happens to us happens because we don't have the power to stop it. And if we want that power, we have to understand how that power works. And then once we understand it, we got to get about the work, as Brother Craig just said, to ensure that we have power for ourselves, because power is never given, power is never shared, power only respects power, and power is always taken.
Exactly.
So with that, please remember that no one can do everything, but if everyone does something, everything will get done. And absolutely, always, always, always remember that nothing is more sacred. Not you, not me, your kids, my kids, your family, not my family. Nothing is more sacred than the liberation and salvation of Black people. Because if Black people don't make it, none of those groups are going to make it. But if we take care of the group, if we take care of the tribe, if we take care of the nation, then by default, our people will be taken care of because they are connected to the group. So with that, again, thank you guys very much. Have a wonderful evening. God bless, and I will see y'all next week.
Peace.
Peace.